Hi students, welcome to our next session of our East Matter View lesson. That is last topic of this lesson. Today we are going to wrap up this. It is separating gases from air. Till now we have discussed about different processes, that is sublimation process, how it is the evaporation process, how the distillation process is, simple distillation process, that all we have discussed already. Let us see how to separate the gases from the air. Okay, of course we know that the air is a mixture of so many gases. Among that we are going to separate, we are going to see this technique today to separate oxygen, how the nitrogen is getting separated, how the argon is getting separated. Okay, this is the agenda of this class, and we will discuss about what are the pure substances as well. Pure substances, about pure substances also we will discuss, and what are the types of pure substances. This is the agenda of the class, how we are going to follow. Next, whenever I am going to take the discussion about the separation of gases, we need the respective boiling point. What is the concept of boiling point, that what we have to understand. That is, the boiling point of different gases is playing important role in order to separate the gases, respective gases from the air. Okay, what does it mean? What does it mean? Suppose if I take a number line like this, I have 0, that is here, like this it is -1, -2, and so on, minus 100 and so on, minus 130, so on, minus 150, so on, minus 160, so on, minus 180, and so on, minus 196, so on, minus 200, for example. Somewhere it is minus 200, that side is minus 200. This is what we actually, minus 200 is a lesser value than minus 180. Minus 180 is less than a lesser value than minus 150. That means minus 150 greater value than minus 200. That already we know from 6th class onwards we are learning in mathematics. This will help us to understand, to make the separation of gases from air. Okay, how the nitrogen is getting separated, how the oxygen is getting separated, and how the argon is getting separated. That's what we are going to discuss. Okay. So before that, we want to know about what is the boiling point of respective gases. Okay, that's what we have to take it into concern. That is, if I take from the table which is given in page number 94, I have some table of giving the boiling point. Oxygen consists of minus 183 boiling point. Okay, argon consists of minus 186. This you have to keep in mind. Argon's oxygen boiling point is minus 186. Nitrogen boiling point is minus 196. Okay, oxygen is minus 185, argon is minus 186, nitrogen is minus 196. See the table which is given in page number 94. We have a table here, and from this table we have obtained. Now, how the air is getting extracted, so how the respective gases are being getting extracted from the mixture of air, that's what we are going to see. Okay, to do this we will follow certain steps, certain methods we will follow. Of course this is a complex understanding, but we will follow a certain process. Okay, what we do first, in first process, air will be taken, air which consists of all impurities will be taken. This is going to send through a filter. This we will send with, through a filter will send. if we send through a filter, the air which consists of impurities will be dropped here itself, will be filtered here itself. Dust particles or any impurities are present from in this air, that will be dropped here itself. Okay, and after this we are going to send this filtered air which consists of different gases through a chamber. We are going to send it through a chamber where we are going to apply high pressure and low temperature. Very low temperature will be there at this point. Okay, already we have this session. We have the explanation here. Compress and cool by increasing the pressure and decreasing the temperature. Okay, so this is the chart flow where we are going to follow. Air is sent with through a filter where the impurities will be dropped here. That filtered air is going to sent through a process, through a chamber where then we are going to apply high pressure and low temperature. Temperature will be reduced. Temperature will be very low, -1000 degrees Celsius or -600 degrees Celsius, -800 degrees Celsius. Up to that region, the temperature will be reduced, and they are going to apply high pressure here. When that means, as we are applying high pressure and low temperature, the air will be converted into liquid form. Okay, here air converts into liquid form. That means after the air is getting converted into liquid form, this liquid form air, after conversion of the air is converted to liquid form, this liquid form air is going to send through one more chamber. Okay, this we can call as distillation chamber or filtration chamber. Distillation chamber it might be. Fractional distillation column. This is sent through a warm fractional distillation column. The liquid air will be sent through a fractional distillation column. Okay, and as we are going to compress this, the carbon dioxide will be separated in the form of a liquid. So in the form of a solid, that carbon dioxide will be solid. So it becomes solid and it will be collected out. Due to high pressure, carbon dioxide is going to become solid and it is going to be taken out here, where the remaining other gases which is in the form of a liquid, they are going to be collected in the fractionating column. This is a fractionating column or fractional distillation column. It is going to send through a fractional distillation column. Air, as it is compressed with high pressure and as it is cooled with low temperature, that is going to be converted into liquid form. In this process, carbon dioxide is going to become a solid and it is been separated here itself. Okay, where the liquid form of the gas will be sent through a fractional distillation column, in which the air will be in the form of a liquid. Okay, don't get confused. When the air is going to be high pressure, under high pressure and low temperature, air can be converted into liquid form. Okay, that is one phenomenon that we have to learn actually. That is one process that we have to consider here. Now what happens here? This is a warm fractionating column. When in this warm fractionating column, this liquid form of liquid form of a gas. Okay. The liquid form of air will be here. In this liquid form of air, slowly in this fractionating column, we are going to slowly increase the temperature of. Slowly, we are going to increase the temperature of this liquid form of the gas. So it is 1000 degrees. Actually, suppose it is minus 1000 degrees Celsius, for example. Okay, if for example I am talking minus 1000 degrees Celsius, or it may be minus 800 or minus 600 degrees Celsius or minus 4000 degrees Celsius, depending on the process or whatever we are using, that this temperature is going to vary. Assuming in our example it is minus 1000 degrees Celsius, that is the temperature of the liquid form of the air is minus 1000 degrees Celsius. Now what I will do, what here in this warm fractionating column, the temperature in this warm fractionating column will be slowly increased. That is, from as it is increasing, don't think that it will be 1100, 1200, don't think that like that. As it is increasing from minus 1000, if the temperature is increased, it will reach to minus 900, minus 800. Somewhere is minus 1000, minus 800, minus 700, minus 600, minus 400. 500, minus 400, minus 300. After reaching to the minus 200, and if even still increasing, even still we are supplying the heat here. After reaching to the minus 300, this will be minus 199, minus 197, minus 190, sorry, minus 198, minus 197, and minus 196. When the temperature reaches to minus 196, as it is the boiling point of, nitrogen, as it is boiling point of the nitrogen. From this liquid form, the nitrogen gas will get separate from the liquid form of the nitrogen, oxygen and argon. As it is first, as we are reaching the nitrogen boiling point, from this liquid form, the nitrogen will be collected in the form of, the nitrogen will be taken out in the form of gas. This is gaseous form. Here nitrogen will be taken out. That is N2. N2 will be taken out in the first. As N2 is taken, we are going to collect this in some cylinders. Okay. As total, after separating the total nitrogen, as it is reaching the minus 196 boiling point, as 196 nitrogen minus 196. What here will be the combination of the air with the combination of oxygen and argon now. Okay, nitrogen gets separated. As the process is continued, it will be minus 195, minus 192, minus 190, minus 189, minus 180, minus 187, minus 186. Okay, when it is reaches to minus 186. As it is reaches to minus 186, it is the boiling point of argon now. It is the boiling point of argon. Okay. Now from this mixture, now argon comes separating here. Of course, it might be different column also. Otherwise, from this, the argon gets separated, where argon is collected here. Argon gets separated. The total, after taking out the total argon from this, what is remaining? Minus 1. Again, as the temperature increases, it will be minus 185, minus 184 degrees, minus 183 degrees. After reaching to the minus 183 degrees, the oxygen starts evaporating. O2 starts evaporating, where oxygen is collected at the final stage. Okay, and if any remaining impurities are present here, it is collected from there will be expansion jet and all, that is our complex task. If after taking out the oxygen, the air might consist of any other gases as well, or it may be consisting of different mixtures also. Like this, we are going to separate oxygen, argon and nitrogen based on their boiling points after taking into this type of process. Of course, on board and on explanation it look like simple, but actually it is a very complex phenomena. For example, in this, if I found any video, I will attach that video to this session, in this, after completion of this topic, I will attach a video which shows the exact process and exact arrangement of the separation. That would help you to understand even more better. Okay, this is how the separation of gases takes place. Next thing, next topic, whatever we have left from our initial discussion is pure substances. We have, the matter is of two types, pure substances and mixtures. Pure substances we kept aside and we are talking about mixtures, and there are two type of mixtures, homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures, and that all discussion is continued. And how we get separated, what are the homogeneous types, that solution we have discussed, what will be there in solution, solvent and solute, and heterogeneous mixtures of two types, colloidals and suspensions, what will be there in colloidals and suspensions, what are the different types of forms, that all we have discussed, and separation methods, how the homogeneous mixtures and heterogeneous mixtures get separated. Now today's discussion is pure substances. Pure substances. Okay, that means if I take a substance and if I collect any sample from that substance from anywhere, okay, if they consist of same compositions if they consist of, that type of substances we call as pure substances. For example, if I would have taken a gold biscuit here, for example, it is there in textbook also. We have a gold biscuit here. In this gold biscuit, if you take this part for the sample, it consists of all the compositions of gold. If you take this part for the sample and examine whatever the compositions are there in the sample, the same type of compositions will be present in the sample. Okay, if I take this part as a sample, whatever the parts are there, the same type of parts will be is there here also as a sample. Okay, that means all the whatever the substance is present at this point, the same types of substances will be present at this point, the same type of substances are also present at this point. This type of substances are called pure substances. Okay, where there is no change in the substances from wherever you take the sample from to the collection. Now these pure substances also are of two types. That is compounds and elements. Compounds and elements. These are the two different types of substances we have. Compounds and elements. Pure substances. What are compounds? In order to understand this, for example, if I take a homogeneous mixture, I have a salt, water, and I have added a salt, and I am going to dissolve it. Salt is uniformly dissolved, I am going to get the salt solution, but I want to separate the salt from the water. So I will use crystallization process, where if I boil that water until the total water gets evaporated, there will be a white color layer which is there on the bowl, that is salt. Okay, that means I am able to use some technical process where I can separate those water and salt, I can separate. Now compounds are the substances which are chemically bonded. Compounds are the substances which are chemically two or more elements, if they are going to bond, that is going to become compound. Before going to discuss compound, what is element we will discuss, then we can understand what is compound is. Element is a basic substance of the chemistry. Any substance, element is a basic substance of the chemistry. Okay, what does it mean? Suppose if I take carbon. Carbon is a base substance. Like ABCD in our English, we have ABCD as alphabets. That is there is a base base substance of the English language. In the same way, element is the base substance of the chemistry. Okay, this is the base, that is the initial substance of the chemistry. Okay, carbon. With the help of a carbon, I can get so many, plenty of substances can be derived where it is going to react with some other, and I am going to get plenty of substances. But where the carbon is the initial one, initial substance. For example, if I take hydrogen. Hydrogen is a base substance where this is going to react few more elements to form many other substances. That means the base substance or the initial substance, like I told already, ABCD is the initial alphabets, initial substances of all English language, as they are considered as alphabets. Here also elements are the base substances of chemistry, where these are carbon, hydrogen, these all are the pure form. If I take hydrogen, all samples will be of hydrogen itself. If I take carbon, all samples will be of carbon itself. That is pure base substance, elements. Okay. Now, if one element is reacting with some other element, suppose one element is reacting with one or two more elements, it's going to form compound. It's going to form compound. What does it mean? We are going to take one small example, which is considered as activity. We have an activity here. Pure substances segment. We have activity 10. Can we separate sulfur and oxygen from copper sulfate? Is the question. Is the activity is given. Take concentrated solution of copper sulfate in a beaker and drop a piece of aluminum foil in it. Okay. After some time, you will observe that a layer of copper is deposited on the aluminum foil. The solution becomes colorless. Okay. We know that the reaction and all, it has been given. What is happening is, let's take. Okay. I take a concentrated copper sulfate solution, that is called as CuSO4, copper sulfate. Copper sulfate solution is being taken in this beaker. Okay, in this beaker, suppose if it is copper sulfate, in this beaker, I am going to drop an aluminium foil. Aluminum foil is some strip of aluminum foil we have to drop, and after some time we will notice that the copper gets deposited. We'll see that after some time we will observe that copper of layer is deposited on the aluminum foil. Okay, the copper gets deposited on the aluminum foil. That's what we will come to know. That is separation from this. What is the question is, from copper sulfate, can we separate sulfate and oxygen? Can we separate sulfate? Is this sulfate and oxygen get separated? Is that what is the concern? Suppose we have this copper sulfate. If copper sulfate is getting reacted with aluminium, or aluminium is getting reacted with the copper sulfate, what we are going to get is aluminium sulfate plus copper. Aluminium sulfate plus copper. Of course, this we have to balance. See, from copper sulfate is reacting with aluminium. Here, copper is replaced. Copper is replaced by aluminium. We are going to get aluminium sulfate and copper. But this copper and from this copper sulfate, sulfur and aluminium are not getting separated. We didn't get from this. We didn't get sulfur separate and oxygen separate. There is no possibility of separating them. Why these are? This is sulfate. SO4. This is oxygen 2 actually. Why sulfur and oxygen is not getting separated? because sulfur and oxygen are chemically bonded. They are chemically bonded where there is no technique of we don't have any technique of separating those two elements if they are chemically bonded. They are not physically bonded. Chemically they are going to intermix. One sulfur and oxygen are going to react chemically and going to form a sulfate SO4. Okay, and where that SO4 we don't have any process to separate them. Once they have bonded, we don't have any physical technique. Okay, that means compounds are chemically formed, chemically bonded. Elements, if they chemically bond, they are going to get compounds. Okay, what does it mean at the final stage? If I talk, that is, we cannot separate sulfate and oxygen as they are chemically bound. Okay, that means element is a basic or initial substance where compound. If we talk about compound, if element is reacting with some other element, gives the reaction between two or more elements is going to give a compound. The reaction between the two or more elements is going to give a compound. Okay, that is elements, if they are chemically bonded, we are going to get a compound. And element is the initial basic. Likewise, same. Suppose A, B, C, D, we are there where they are the initial components of English. If A is bonding with T, suppose we are going to get AT. AT is a word. Okay, the same way, if element is bonding with another element, they are going to get a compound. In chemistry, we are going to get a compound. It is also one substance. How it is going to obtain? Because these two elements are chemically bonded. Okay, where we cannot separate that. That also pure form of substance. Okay, about this elements and compounds, you can understood good. Otherwise, in the next chapter, that is 7th chapter and 9th chapter, we are going to discuss as a combined segment. After completion of this, you will come to know what is the difference between these two. This is the completion of this lesson. Is matter pure. Hope you understood all the topics. If not, you go through that once again, or you can WhatsApp whatever is the doubt. I will send the notes through the WhatsApp. We will discuss in the next lesson in the next session. Thank you very much.